All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Connor on Shane, let's get it. Big nuke and a nice bounce that Bitcoin had over the last literal 24 hours. It has been the most ridiculous price action I've seen in a long, long time, and I'll show you guys why. Because apparently we had some liquidations that kind of over pushed what we saw during 2020 when everything crashed. I think, excuse me, I think the amount of liquidations we had was probably the biggest in crypto history. I was going to pull up a tweet here, but on Bitcoin, guys, that was absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why I can't. Oh, yeah, I have like an old watch list of like 2021 coins, 2022. That's funny. But crazy, crazy liquidations here. Multiple billions of dollars was liquidated just in the span of this, 24 hours or so. If you guys didn't see, I went live, I think last night, and it was actually like insane to just watch, these capitulations happen live. One of the most notable things though is that we saw, Bittensor, and we saw Virtual. Let me just pull up one of my other. Yeah, we saw Bittensor and also Virtual just completely nuke. Like Bittensor actually went under what, 240, hit about 240. Crazy discount that just happened, especially with dynamic Tau coming out, which I already have a video out if you guys want to look at that. I'm super bullish on Bittensor, probably more lately than ever because of this DTAU. But there's a lot to get into detail with. I'm not going to cover it, in this video. I'm going to have another video going into the subnets because there are a ton of really strong subnets that I think honestly just over the next few, whether it's weeks, months after launch, it's going to be hard to know what actually happens in the short term, but you have some really strong teams that have been building out, really good fundamental infrastructure using Bittensor. I'm very bullish on that. So I'm actually surprised that this came this low. And I'm still shocked the demand for Bittensor has not sent this to a new all-time high yet. I hate looking at charts like this. You can't see the full chart. I always love to see the full chart. Looks something like that. But anyways, I think dynamic Tau is going to be huge. It's not going to be something like virtuals though, where you can just start buying these coins left and right. You actually have to take your Bittensor, put it into a specific wallet that is going to be able to interact with the Bittensor layer one, and then you actually have to stake your Bittensor to specific subnets, or specific validators rather, and you will get those tokens in return. So it's a different dynamic that I actually just haven't seen before, at least in the way that it's happening. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't really know what to expect, but like I said, I'm very bullish on a ton of teams that are really building things on that. I think it's going to be, it could be, again, very short term, very high risk, but I think in the long term, I think if Bittensor really does succeed, these subnets are going to succeed probably 10 times more, at least from an investment standpoint, gains wise, But anyways, virtual, like I said, I'm still hyper bullish on the virtuals ecosystem. Yet the entire eco absolutely nuked the last 3 weeks. I've actually been waiting for such a deep correction like this, but I'm not gonna lie, I waited for a deep correction. I was kind of okay with like this general area. I was like, you know what, it's probably gonna hold and maybe it bounces, starts moving up again, but we got continued downside. This is something where you got to plan in this market, guys. Usually, the best thing to do is if you're looking for a really good long-term entry on something, put your entry, at wherever you'd normally think you want to buy it, and then take that, move it down another 20%, 30, 40% from where you want to buy it. I'm telling you, that is when you will get insane discounts. But virtual, like I say that because virtual literally came down that kind of percentage, literally all the way to 56% from, lower from where I was paying attention to. Um, and like I said, it's probably going to bounce here before, it kind of chops, consolidates, shows signs of moving back up again. I don't think it's going to go much lower from here. We actually saw, I think, some of the agents actually had some of the biggest bounces on the day. Like Polytrader is one I'm very bullish on. This was up over 100% on the day. Same with Vader AI. This hit, what did this hit? 13 million. This is up like 100 something percent just in the last, whatever, 24 hours, maybe like 30 hours. Insane moves across the board. For Bitcoin though here guys, I don't know. I'm still been very bullish. Back here, this was when I was worried about the market really crashing and getting super bearish. Because honestly, it looked like to me we were going to come down, but of course, this was a massive fake out into another run here. But we kind of broke an all-time high here, instant dump, and we've just been chopping, showing honestly a lot of downside pressure from here. So I think right now, because of that liquidation, um, we're probably going to chop and continue for a little bit. But I think the next maybe week or 2 weeks, if we continue to start seeing this chop and start momentum going to the upside, we still may have a chance at really running well into new all-time highs. Maybe mid-February to somewhat later February. I wouldn't be surprised, but and if you guys have seen me before, it's like I try to give you guys like an unbiased look at it because again, in this market most of the time you just can't predict where the hell this shit's going to go. You know, and it's like that's kind of where I saw it a month ago. It really wasn't looking good and I was super bearish vocally, but obviously, when I'm bearish too, it's like I'm very bullish long term throughout a cycle. But when it comes down to short term moves, sometimes it's very important to be paying attention because, worst case, you can save yourself from, some losses in a short span of time to then buy back lower and ride into the rest of, the cycle. But, here it was bearish. Short term, I thought we were really going to come down. Same thing. I think everyone thought we were just going to break right through the support, but it held up very well. But at the same point, guys, it doesn't mean that this isn't gearing up for even more potential downside. I'm not saying it's going to do that, but either way, it's very important to just look at the market as it is. This has been one of my biggest flaws, I think, in the market. I honestly like this whole bull run. Aside from early to mid to even late 2023 when everything started really ramping up, I feel like most of the time I've held a lot of different positions, well into, huge drawdown because the main thing for me is like I've been thinking that what, we're just waiting for this alt season to happen. It's like just hold on to your bags until alt season, and then once alt season happens, everything is just magically gonna float up and do a 20-30x in a matter of like days, weeks. It's almost this mental thing where I'm like, you should not be selling when you got a really good project at a good entry, when the narrative's hot sometimes because you're kind of expecting that alt season to just kick this off even more. But what we've seen this cycle is just the amount of rotation and different narratives just coming and going. And I think everyone has that same idea and expectation that once this narrative is hot right now, they're getting into the narrative, letting it ride, and then they're kind of just waiting for alt season to also kick off with it and just take their these assets that ran up like crazy, have came down and are waiting for the next leg up. And it's like some of these, especially like meme coins specifically, have not recovered like at all. So that's been a huge flaw of mine in this market, but that is why I'm trying to tell you guys to take the market at this point as it is. Like I've never been one to just fully start looking at the market to trade it, go for short term, whether it's swing trades. Obviously, personally, I'm not a day trader, unless I'm aping into a brand new launch on Sol. Like, I'm not going to be scalping like the 15-minute, 30-minute on Bitcoin. That's not my style whatsoever. I like high time frame charts. But I've never looked into, legitimately just focusing solely on trading the market, whether it's Bitcoin or even high caps. But at this point, too, just seeing how this market's been playing out, It's honestly not a bad idea. And again, I'm not talking about leverage. Don't go 50x leverage on plays, but I'm really thinking about even starting to just, I guess diversify how I'm investing because 90% of the time I'm doing spot buys, just buying with size and whatever coins that I like and just waiting for multiple X's, in certain cases. Um, and I have like mental stop losses here and there for certain things, but same thing. A lot of plays, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna hold through this because I'm waiting for this alt season. I know it's coming. 6 months pass, the alt season doesn't happen. And a lot of bags just get crushed. So it's very important to take the market as it is. That's something I've been doing lately. A lot of reflecting of just, I guess how I've been looking at the market, how I've been playing it. There's so many things I did well and so many things I've done, pretty bad. No one's perfect, and that's kind of just how I've been, or honestly, what I've been doing the last like few days here. Just really reevaluating my whole strategy, my setups to, time frames as far as how I'm looking at new narratives, things like that. Ethereum itself looks very good though. This is what I was saying if you guys watched my live stream yesterday. We were watching this just nuke literally below the support as the video is playing or as we're live. And I said, honestly, I think over the next 3 days, if this just holds, it's probably going to bounce and kind of chop, do whatever. As long as it chops and holds and starts forming some bullish momentum, I think yeah, Ethereum is in the clear still to make a run into new highs. Like this, honestly, like this has to be very close to a bottom for Ethereum. If it's not, I don't know what's gonna happen with this cycle, guys. But I'd say it still looks very good in my eyes, just from a high time frame setup. It's just slowly grinding this channel. Well, it's not even a channel. I mean, I don't even know what you call this. It's just bouncing in an uptrend. And at some point, I do expect this to test a third time on this resistance. Maybe we see a break here. Maybe it wicks, comes back down before attempts again. Maybe it does something like this. Just giga pumps, attempts to break, fails, and one more time, and it finally breaks. Maybe mid 2025, right? But also too, we saw Bittensor is actually now on Coinbase. That is huge. That just happened, what, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago? That was massive. So that was really good to see. But we've seen meme coins, guys, capitulate too harder than I've ever seen in my life. Obviously Mog coin, which in my opinion, even still, is the number one meme coin for this cycle. I do not care what anyone tells me. I bought more yesterday. Um, we even saw Popcat. Like, look at this thing. This was at $2.2 billion, and it is now at 260 million. Like, I something like this. Like, this was a blue chip meme, and it is down unbelievably bad. But again, if you guys believe in something like that, like Popcat, it's probably gonna chill. It goes sideways. Hard to know if all of these coins are gonna make new highs at some point. I firmly believe Pepe and Mog on ETH are just probably the number one and two meme coins you could be holding for the cycle. I have been liking Cult a lot. This is one what we've been slowly scaling into, and it's actually at another entry down here. It's probably maybe one of the final potential entries before it starts another run. But again, the same way that the cycle's been happening, this might honestly just chop before maybe it does start running again, starts going bullish. But bottom line, I firmly believe in Milady and the entire vision behind that. But I think too, like I'm getting at with it, is once this really does start moving, this is going to probably start some sort of parabolic run. This always happens with so many plays, especially when they're coins that airdrop to their holders and they airdrop a ton of supply. These charts are going to nuke. They will nuke to oblivion for probably a few weeks, maybe 2 months, until what happens? Some sort of hype moment happens. They giga pump at some point. Doesn't matter what the reason is. After that, they will completely retrace their gains, exactly what it's doing here. Start chopping within some sort of range after that, and eventually it starts a real run. If it's going to be a really good long term coin, this is the kind of chart it's going to play out. That's what I look for with a lot of bottomed out coins, but yeah, like dude, ticker Bitcoin guys, come on. Like this is sad. This coin deserves so much higher, it just doesn't go. It doesn't budge, but obviously this thing has come down. Strong OG coin, SPX. I'm just salty. I watched this for like a year straight, and I never bought it. But this thing is still holding up. Probably gonna bounce chop again for a while before it does attempt to make another rally. But like so many memes guys too are even down pretty hard right now. But I mean, overall though, this is kind of just me looking at the market again, giving you guys a perspective on my thoughts. Even just what I've been doing lately, paying attention to, because the last I'd say week or so, I really have not been focusing on degenning whatsoever. I just think the sentiment has been horrible, and I don't know why. I'm usually not like that, but when the sentiment gets to a point where it's just, I feel like we are so topped out and we need some sort of correction, and I'm still just kind of waiting for it. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to want to just continuously find a new play left and right. Sometimes the best move is to just sit on your hands and just be patient. It's even for Bitcoin now. Yes, we have this huge rally. It could come back down, chop again. Depends on what this kind of momentum is going to start forming. If it continues to just make some bearish momentum like this, it's probably going to continue lower, which would not be great at all. But if this can come down, do some sort of head and shoulders type looking pattern, aka it does something like this. This was one of the shoulders. This was the low, and it doesn't make another low below it. Does something like this, and then it starts moving bullish. That's going to be a lot more bullish, and I think we're going to see probably 110, 115 from there. But outside of that, guys, that is what I've been paying attention to, focusing on in the market. Over the next couple days, I do want to get some videos out talking about dynamic Tau and a bunch of the different subnets, like I was saying. I think that's going to be a very good narrative, even if you're not even going to be, diving heavy into it. Something to pay attention to, especially going into the long term of the rest of this, 2025 and, whatever this cycle has left, I think it's just going to be very top tier projects that come out of that. So outside of that, guys, I appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Potentially might go live tomorrow as well too, so be on the lookout. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks.